Beautiful. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast today. We've got someone new with us. Jess Warner is joining us. She's a mother of two, small business owner. She's also doing quite well in a network marketing business that she's got. So we're just going to run through a few things with her. How are we, Jess? Good?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Look, just before we get into anything a little bit deeper, can you just run us through a little bit about yourself and how you came to be doing what you're doing today? And yeah.
Okay. Well, I originate from out in the country, so out in Midwest New South Wales, past Griffith, small little town there of 250 people called Gulgowie, and had an awesome childhood, really, growing up on the farm, just lots of nature-based play and, you know, what country kids are like, and then decided as I got older that I would move to the big smoke. I guess I've dappled in a few things. I've got a degree in sports admin. I've got a diploma in remedial massage. I've got an honours degree in early childhood education. And a bit more recently, I have moved to the network marketing scene and sort of taken on the role as an entrepreneur. So, and in amongst that, have got married to my wonderful husband and had my two beautiful babes. So, yeah.
Cool. Beautiful. And a couple of kids now, which is awesome. And you balancing business life with that as well. Very brave of you. What, as a mum and obviously a business owner as well, but tying those two together with the kids, what for you three of the most important things that you want to either show to your kids or allow your kids to have the opportunity to experience?
Three of the most important things that I can think of would be, number one, being a role model to follow what actually lights you up. Before I had my first daughter, I was working in early childhood. I was a manager at the centre that I was working for. And I don't know, a lot of mums who are listening to this will probably agree with the fact that after you have that first baby, everything about your life changes, your mindset, your physical body, all the things. And when I went back to that job after I had that year of maternity leave, I'd experienced a lot of change in that year. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, yes, you birth a baby, but you rebirth yourself in a way as well. And a lot of things in that environment weren't aligning with who I had become in that 12 months. And, you know, so I had just studied, well, I'd been in the industry for 4 years, but I had studied for 5 years. And, you know, a lot of people thought to move away from that after you study for that period of time, you're crazy, you know, but it wasn't lighting me up the way that it used to. And I knew that there was going to be different opportunities for me if I was brave enough to walk away, and I was in a position that I could do that. So, you know, that's something that I want to pass on to my kids, is that we don't need to stay in this model of you go to school, you go to uni, you get the job, you find the partner, you get married, you do the thing for the rest of your life. You know, I just want them to be brave enough to be able to say, this isn't really for me anymore, so I'm going to try this now. So that would be one thing. What else do I want them to be able to do? Be lifelong learners. I think that is something that is really, really important, being a lifelong learner, because, you know, the minute that we actually think that we are the master of something, or that we are really a complete expert of something, we've closed ourselves off to learning new opportunities. Yeah. Because, you know, there's even things within my network marketing business. I've been doing that for 5 years now, and you kind of think you get your head around things, and then you go to a new event, or you hear someone else speak about it differently, and it changes your perception of something again. You think you knew all the things about it, and then you learn something new. So I think that's something that's really important as well. Yeah, does that cover? That's only 2, isn't it?
That's right. The lifelong learner one, I've got a couple of follow-up questions for those. If you're happy, if they're the 2 most important things, I think they're brilliant. Being a role model, you're talking about a lot of the things that you do, rather than just like, saying to the kids, "Oh, do this, do what you want to do, and if you don't want to do this, you don't have to do it." Rather than being that person that's saying all these things, actually going out and doing it yourself and being the example. From what I'm getting from what you're saying, that's your approach. Yeah.
And I think that has really, that's something my daughter's 5, and in the last 5 years, that's something that I've really dug my heels into, because I had watched many of my girlfriends, many of the female mentors that I look up to, even my mum and her generation of friends. And I didn't want to go down that path of martyrdom, of putting everyone else first. I know that will sound selfish to some people, but I want my daughter and my son, because I want him to see this perspective, if he chooses to be with a woman one day, that women can follow things that light them up. They don't have to stay in this box. And I wanted to show her that I want her to look at me and go, that's the kind of life that I want to live. And I know that I am being that role model for the life that she can aspire to. So that's what I think is really important. Every time I try to make a decision, I try to think, if I was, that 5-year-old me watching me doing this, how would that make me feel?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant perspective, Hart. Really, really cool. I'm going to come back to the martyrdom comment, because I'd like that as well. And I think the comment about it, being selfish, no, I'm putting myself first, God forbid. I know a lot of mums get really caught up with that, and can feel very stuck. So I will come back to that. But the lifelong learner first, once you've got a university degree, there's nothing left to learn, though.
Oh, the age-old story, right? Age-old story.
Run us through that.
I find that really interesting, because I actually didn't go. So when I left year 12, I didn't get the UTAR that I wanted for the university degree that I wanted to be in. So I thought, okay, that's all right. So I actually went to a business college to start with, and I did that for a year, and I worked in that industry for about 18 months, I think. And then put that down. Wasn't happy with that anymore. Went and did my remedial massage, did that for about 2 years. Put that down now. Finally went back to uni when I was 25, did that for 5 years, and still learning constantly, and don't even work in the industry that I went to university for now. So I think there's this huge pressure on people to follow that storyline of, get the higher degree, all of those kind of things, and then you'll be set up for life, where really, life is going to throw different things at you. And if you're not open to receiving them, then you're probably going to miss some really big opportunities.
Yeah, bang on.
I really think that, yes, I'm not saying anything against going to university. I think it's great if you find something, but in my experience, a lot of my friends that went to university either dropped out halfway through, are not working in the industry that they did, changed their course halfway through because they realized that, 2 years into a 4-year degree, they were a different person than they were 2 years ago, which when you're 18 years old, like, even look at the change between an 18 and a 25-year-old, it's huge. So, I just think, but being really open, there's still things like when I was studying for uni, I thought, I'm never studying again. And now, like, there's still things that pop up and I'm like, I really want to do that course one day. I really want to do this one day, because there's so many awesome things to learn, and there's so many different relationships and connections to be made. And I just think that that's something that's really exciting.
Beautiful. So for your learning now, if you don't learn from university, where do you learn from?
Well, that has...
There's other places?
Oh, yes, there is. Funnily, stay in a set system to learn. I have learned from so many different places now. I think we're very lucky in some aspects and also slightly a little bit unfortunate in other aspects that we have access to so much information these days. We get quite bombarded with it, but there's so many different places to learn from. And I think now we've got more choice in being able to say, that actually does really intrigue me, or no, I'm not going to follow that path. Like, you could listen to a podcast like yours, for example, and go, you know what, the things that Joe's talking on there, they really excite me. Like, I want to delve into that a bit further without having to go up and sign up for a degree or, do something like that. Reading books, talking to people, going to different events. Like, there's so many places that you can learn from. Just jump on Eventbrite and you can find a million different things that you can dip your toe in and see if that is something that interests you, and you can go from there. With
the martyrdom, I know a lot of mums get incredibly guilty about the idea that, once they've had kids, it's like everything for them stops and everything's got to be on the kids. You said that some people could look at that as being selfish. What are your views on that? As to, is it all about the kids, or what percentage is about you? How does that flow through to the kids? Run through that a bit.
So I think, it's like anything. You really don't get it until you're in it. And when my first year of being a mother, I placed a lot of expectation on myself. That's a Jess thing to do. I set quite high standards for myself. And I think I actually forgot there for a while that, my daughter had a father as well. And so that was a big learning curve for me, because whilst I sort of thought, I'm her mother, I need to do this, she needs me, which, it is a lot. It really is the case in some aspects, especially if you're breastfeeding, because your partner can't do that. But, just taking a step back there to allow him to become the father that he was aspiring to be, and letting them form that relationship, that was a big learning curve for me to go, okay, well, this isn't all on me. And when I finally realised that, and I guess there was a lot of times when I would leave somewhere, like I would leave to go and do something, oh, okay, you're going to have her for 2 hours while I go and get my hair done. And I'd walk out the door and I'd have this stupid mum guilt, which I know all mums feel. And I'd sit there at the hairdresser the whole time watching my phone in case he messaged me. So, you're trying to do this nice thing for yourself and then you're not enjoying it anyway. Yeah. So what's the point? And then I got to this stage where I was like, this is just ridiculous, because again, it was leading me back to that path of, am I actually role modeling what I want my children to be able to do when they're older? And so now when I leave the house, I'm like, ciao, see you later. Yeah. I'll be back happier, because I actually go, and whatever I'm heading to, whether it's an event, whether it's a coffee with a girlfriend, whether it's a workout, whatever it is, I go there and I be fully present and I do what I need to do in that moment. And I fill my cup that way, and I come back as a better mother, I come back as a better wife, I come back happier for myself and for everyone, and that's how that spills over into our home. Awesome. So I really think that it's been a learned practice. Don't get me wrong, there's still some days when I get the pang in the or in the chest that, like, oh, is this the right thing to be doing? But then I also go, well, do I want my kids in 20, 30 years' time to be thinking that they can't experience things in their life and do things that they want to do because they have to stay at home and be the parent? I know parenting is a responsibility that most people choose to do, but there's also comes that responsibility of being the role model of, you know, what's possible for your children.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And you touched on the cups, filling your own cup. Explain what that means to you and how that sort of translates into doing things for yourself.
It's really about just making sure that you stay in touch with who you are, for me, because it's very easy to and this was something that I experienced personally, that you have this whole identity up until this point of becoming a mother, and then all of a sudden you're just a mum. But you're just a mum, but then when you go back to work, you are just a mum who needs to do all these things in her family home, but also needs to be able to still be the same person she was before. She's now just a mum. So that's really making sure that I stay in touch with who I am, who self is, and by doing that, you know, you're able to stay more aligned with who you are as well, and that again spills over to allow your children to see how you're living authentically, really. I think if anyone's feeling stuck with that, a really good place to start would be to look into Amy Taylor Kabaz's work on matrescence, because it really, matrescence is the perfect word to it's the whole concept behind that, you know, understanding who you are now as to who you were before, but who you can still be. So
cool. Yeah. I like it. I've not read, I'm assuming.
Matrescence is actually the term for that.
Yeah, but so Amy's, is it books, or she got video series, or?
Got books, she's got courses, she's got all the things.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. I've not heard of her work before, so I'll go and have a look into that. And I mean, yeah, whoever sort of goes through that thing, I pretty much every mum I talk to has some level of that. So yeah, if that's something that you found helpful, I'm no doubt other people will as well. So definitely go and check out Amy Taylor Kabaz. Is that correct? Sweet. Yeah, cool. All right. Just very quickly, because I think this concept's really important. Filling your cup up. So for you to go and fill your cup up, you mentioned going and getting your hair done and doing things for yourself that connect with you and who you are outside being a mum. Is that correct? Yep. And by doing that and helping, you know, if you use the jug or the cup analogy, by filling your cup up, when you go home and you've got to give some to your partner or to your kids or to whatever other distractions are pulling on your hair at that given time, you've actually got something to give, rather than if you were trying to be this mum that was, I've got to do everything for my kids, I've got to do everything for my husband, I've got to do all this, and I don't even exist on that list of things that have to get done, then you end up being completely deflated and not being able to give anything to anyone anyways. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. It is that saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are depleted, if you are tired, if you haven't nourished yourself in whatever way that is, then there is nothing to give. There is nothing. And for me, you know, it's not like you can probably see my lockdown grey hairs, so I don't go and get my hair done much. But, you know, at the moment, sometimes it is literally locking myself in my ensuite with my deck of cards and my oils and my phone to do a meditation, and the door is shut, and I just have some time where no one's touching me, no one's making demands of me, and it is literally just some time to come back to center, to ground yourself. And if you cannot do that daily, especially at the moment, especially if you're watching this in an area where you are in a lockdown or something like that, then not taking that time is going to be really detrimental. And that's for everyone as well, not just you as a mum. Your kids need that time out as well. Your husband needs that time out as well. It's really important that everybody has that own time that they can remove themselves from all of the things and have that ability or that time to just reflect because that's when you can actually choose how you want to keep showing up, how you want to approach a circumstance in a different way next time. How could you maybe change things to make that experience a little bit better next time?
Nice.
And if you don't gift yourself that time, whatever it is. Sometimes it is going to be having coffee with a girlfriend. Sometimes it is going to be getting a massage. Sometimes it's just going to be walking outside, putting your feet on the ground and, you know, breathing for 2 minutes, like actually breathing into your belly and not into your chest.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just that is why that is so important, because you're just going to be depleted. And I truly believe, and I should say this is probably a little bit stereotypical for the normal family, you know, the mum, the dad, the 2-3 kids or whatever it is. But most of the time, the mother is, and I don't mean this to sound sexist in any way, but the mother is the heartbeat of the home. Yep. Okay. If mama ain't happy, no one happy. So, you know, when you can actually gift yourself that time to know that by doing that, you're going to replenish everyone else anyway, then it makes it worth it.
Replenish up. Yeah, cool. I love that. Really, really cool. Really well said. So it would, I believe for me anyways, this flows through to the next area, and particularly with your focus on being a role model for the kids, mental health and kids. And do you think that's an important thing? Do you think it's not? And how do you go about ensuring that for your kids? I feel like I already know where you're going to go with this, but I'm very open to being wrong. So mental health for kids, particularly in lockdowns, because a lot of people, in my business, parents, they're all locked down at the moment in their houses, losing their, no doubt. So what are your sort of strategies for that? How do you sort of manage it and handle it? Okay. And for your kids as well.
So do I think mental health is important for children? Now more than ever. Now more than ever. I think parents in this day and age have got a huge task ahead of them, because I'm 38, so parents who are older than me that have children ranging anywhere primary school up until high school, there has never been a generation before us that has dealt with technology that we have now, that the access that children have to that and that kind of thing. So mental health is huge, because it also, I feel like it's really, really closely aligned with emotional health.
Yes.
Which is then very, very closely aligned with your physical health. Yep. It's all there, right? So it's not just about focusing on one thing. I feel like they're all very interconnected. And for us as parents, my husband and I try to take the approach of, that we're trying to look at all of those pillars, because we know that without looking at all of them, one is going to crumble a little bit more, So, for example, if we're looking at physical health at the moment, we are making sure that we are outside for at least minimal 1 hour every day, regardless of the weather. No bad weather, just bad clothes.
I love that.
We are outside for at least an hour. We're very, very lucky where we are, literally 150 metres at the bottom of the street. We've got a beautiful little nature reserve. So we're out there, we're getting our vitamin D, we're getting some fresh air, we're grounding ourselves in nature, and that's really supporting our physical body because we're moving. But then we're also looking at our emotional stuff as well. So we use a lot of oils in our house, hence that being my network marketing business. We also have got some really beautiful kids books that we lean on as well. My daughter has her own little deck of affirmations cards. My son's a bit young for that at the moment. He's still 2, so he kind of gets it, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So she really loves those, and we talk about emotions, and that's another thing that I try to model a lot. There's been moments throughout this last 4 weeks, particularly where we've been at home, where, I have burst into tears for different reasons. But I try to I either remove myself from the situation for a minute so I can come back to that, but then I talk to them about how I was feeling, why I was feeling that, what I'm going to choose to do next. But in terms of mental health as well, a big thing for us is our language that we use. So we really try and focus on language in terms of reflecting back to our children what their experience of something has been. So let me give you an example. So if my daughter does a beautiful picture, she sat there, she's put time and effort into it, and she comes up to present it to us because she's proud of what she's done, instead of just giving her oh, good girl, we ask her, how does that make you feel that you've done that? How does that make you feel? So she's connecting with that intrinsic motivation of why she did it, because I think a lot of us, and I'm trying to be a reformed people pleaser, but a lot of us suffer from that because we have had that conditioning growing up of good girl, bad girl, good boy, bad boy. Okay? Because really, if you think about it, when your children are presenting or showing things to you, Mom, watch me on the trampoline. Oh, good girl, good girl, good girl. And then all of a sudden they're doing the same thing and you stop saying that to them. What's that saying to them internally? Oh, I was doing that and I was being a good girl. Now I'm doing the same thing and I'm not getting that praise. So am I now not a good girl? Am I not good enough? Bad? How does that stem on to all of those other things that you start to think, especially as you go into those teen years? So we actually went to a great seminar a couple of years ago with Alfie Cohen. He is an amazing, very, very wise guy. He talks a lot about praise and reward systems. And that's something that I have, my daughter started kindergarten this year, and that's been a little bit of a challenge going into the school system. She actually got an award on the first assembly, and, that was a big thing for us to go, okay, like, so how are you feeling about this, instead of the pat on the head and keep going so you get that again, so you get that. So that's a lot of the mental stuff for us as well, our language that we're using, because I think that, words have a huge impact. So
cool. Really cool. No bad weather, just bad clothes. I love that. That was very, very cool. But I love the focusing on the language and its importance, because I know so many people completely dismiss it. And what you were saying about the good girl, bad girl approach with, jumping on the trampoline, or whatever it is for kids, those thoughts that, they're not saying it anymore, does that mean I'm not good? These aren't necessarily conscious things that are going on. It's all subconscious, which is where most of the processing happens. And I know most people just aren't even aware of that. So simple things like good girl, bad girl, going to a school system, getting an award for whatever it may be, the emphasis being on the award rather than the process or the feelings behind that, can be hugely detrimental. That's why participation trophies are the biggest load of ever. So bad. And I know a lot of people don't understand that, and it's very, very cool to hear you talking about that. I think that's really important for kids, and it's something for my business and my teaching. I'm massive on my language and the words that I use. So really, really cool. Yeah, no, very, very happy with that. I've already kept you for a little bit longer, but I just like one more thing, if I could.
Yep.
Your next little business venture that you're moving on to, Timber Nook and nature-based play. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Definitely share where it is, because I know you're not far from a lot of people that I teach. And if they like what you're listening to, then maybe they can come over at certain points. But let us know a bit what it's about, what's the sort of the thought process behind it, and how that helps kids.
Okay, so Timber Nook is actually It's been created by an OT over in America, and we are bringing it to Appin in New South Wales, so just sort of between and Wollongong. Mm-hmm. Basically, this program really advocates for children to be able to, work on their main occupation, which is play. And we advocate for them to have unstructured play with the time and the space that they allow, that they need to do it. And we don't become the teachers in the environment. We stage the environment so that children can really that's not the word, really just learn for themselves. So we will put whole heaps of loose parts and things like that, and they can do what they want with them and see how creative they can be. It's going to that creativity. In terms of an occupational stance, that we look at all different ways. So my business partner and I, she's a occupational therapist, and I obviously have my early childhood background. So, looking at the way that children are developing in terms of their physical self, but also in terms of their emotional self, their mental self, their emotional regulation, all of those kind of things. It covers all the things. We look at working in different aged grouping as well, because we find that there is such a great opportunity for children to learn. If we look at the school system, for example, if you're in kindy, you're 5 or 6, or maybe you're 4. If you're in year 1, you're usually 6 or 7. You're with those very same-aged peers. We're giving the children the opportunity to learn from those older peers, or for the older peers to be teaching what they've passed on. We look at things like affordances. So, for example, if we've got some planks of wood there, for some of them it might be a sword, for some of them it might be a bridge. They're going to come to that with a different perspective, and then they're going to be able to share that perspective with other children, so that they can take on that internalizing as well. So we're really excited about it. We were meant to launch in 2 weeks. Obviously that won't be happening with our extended but if you are in Australia, there is also a Timber Nook program in Newcastle, and there is also one in the Hunter Valley, and there is in South Australia as well. So we will be number 4 in Australia. Brilliant program. Please come and check us out. On Instagram, we are Southern Sydney Timber Nook, and we are on Facebook as well. So you can find us, you can follow us, you can jump on our email list, where we will send you some emails that really talk to you more about our mission and what we're trying to achieve. And we've had a huge response so far that we're so excited about. We're really, really looking forward to just creating a community of lifelong learners.
Awesome.
So
beautiful. Is it based is it like a school day thing? Is it like you just bring them for a day? Is it bring them for a couple of hours? What's the...
So we'll have some different programs. We'll be offering a play group called Tiny Ones, which is for 0 to 6-year-olds. So that is a 2-hour play group where parents are required to stay at that one. Yep. We have a nature kindy, which is a 6-hour drop-off, so for 3 to 6-year-olds. So you can actually drop them off, and they will be there for the 6 hours with us. We'll be doing all kinds of things. We will be having a school holiday program as well, to allow the school kids to come and enjoy Timber Nook during the holidays. We're also looking at working with schools to actually bring classes in over the term. And then we might even go down the path of birthday parties and things like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. No, that sounds, for me, amazing, particularly with the school holidays things. Like, whatever it is that you're shooting through there, send it through to me, because I think the concept's amazing. I think it's really good for kids to have that creativity and that self-discovery, rather than, this being put straight into a box, just here it is. Like when you said the wood thing, my mind went to building a bridge.
Yeah.
And I know some would go to a sword and some would go, and I think that's really cool because that's that self-expression, that self-discovery, and I think that's amazing. So I think it's a really cool concept. Definitely shoot me through information once it's all started, particularly for the school holidays, because I think a lot of parents would enjoy that for sure. A lot of kids, definitely. So yeah, cool. All right. Sorry.
Let's get them off. Let's get them outside and off some screens.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. They'll be a bit lost for the first few minutes, some of them. Yeah.
Actually, when we went up to Newcastle, we did some training up at Newcastle, and it's really interesting to see the kids when they've, if they've been at school for the whole term and they've been quite structured in their day, when they come and we say we've got 2 rules, that you be kind and you be safe, and you can do whatever you want, they kind of stand there and look at you like, what do you mean? It's like, you can do whatever you want as long as you're being kind, as long as you're being safe. And then usually there'll be a little bit of you'll have some hanger-oners for a bit, and it'll be quite boisterous for a bit, and then you'll hear the hush fall over the whole space, and you'll know they're all in their deep play and they're enjoying it.
Amazing. Be kind and be safe. Now, I know I'm keeping it. I'm sorry. Everything you're saying is like, especially with the world that we're in, where everyone's trying to control everything. Be kind and be safe. You've got these young kids and you're giving them only 2 rules. Now, I can imagine that a lot of parents would freak out about that. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? I agree with the concept. I think the less rules, the better. And then they move on to a process of self-discovery. But what's the approach behind that from your perspective, from your end?
Basically, anything that they do there can come back to those 2 rules. If we say to them, what does being safe look like? So being safe is we can see an adult at all times, and you're in an area where an adult can see you at all times. You're not hitting your friends over the head with a stick. Why wouldn't we do that? We do talk about those things. So then obviously being kind, we talk about being kind to our friends. We talk about being kind to ourselves. Maybe we do something that doesn't go to plan how we want it. We're going to try again. We talk about being kind to nature. So when we've established those that foundation at our morning circle, throughout the day, when things pop up, it's a really easy thing to just say, I can see you're doing that at the moment. Are you being safe? That's one of our rules. Are you being safe? And then they can just go, actually, instead of saying you're doing the wrong thing, are you being safe? And it helps them to go, actually, maybe I might be able to alter my behavior to do this way now.
Yep.
Are you being kind? No, not really. Maybe I can act this way, or I can do this next time. So it's reflecting back to them. This is what we need to do to have a really good day here at Timber Nook. How can you do that? By keeping to those 2 things.
Awesome. No, absolutely love it. I think sounds really good. I'm like excited. I'm not even going to have kids to go on there, but sounds really cool. So I bet you're excited about it from everything you're saying. For people that enjoyed the conversation, think that you're cool, want to follow your stuff, where do they go to find out more?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to follow me in terms of my network marketing stuff, I'm really not that consistent on Instagram, but you can follow me at Kindred Paradise. Mm-hmm. You jump on there, and I'm more of a post on purpose kind of person, but you can follow me at Kindred Paradise. Otherwise, come and follow us at Timber Nook Southern Sydney if that's something that you feel like you're a bit more interested in. I'm mainly on Instagram, but both of those accounts are also on Facebook as well.
Awesome. So the handle for it's I've got Kindred Paradise. I've got that one, and Southern Sydney Timber Nook.
It's Timber Nook. It's at Timber Nook Southern Sydney.
At Timber Nook Southern Sydney. Sorry. All right. Cool. I'll get a little handle for those put on this before I upload it, so people can just go search it as they're listening. But I appreciate that enormously. Do you have any last things that you'd like to say to parents, or I don't know, any pearls or things that might help, particularly given, because I know you're in the situation of being locked down as well, particularly for this sort of time period? Any sort of things that you would say as parting things, or, you know, if you've said everything already, that's cool as well.
I think something that I am trying to very much remember at the moment is that there is a great divide that has been caused with society, especially over the last 18 months with everything that's happened. And it's very easy to be upset or offended or want to, you know, dislike or unfollow or block or delete or, you know, project onto different people. But really just trying to remember that everyone is on their own journey, and whilst you may not agree with how other people are acting, if you were them, you would act how they were. And if they were you, they would be doing what you are. So at the end of the day, everyone's trying to stay aligned with who they are. There has never been, ever been a case where everyone has agreed on something, nor will there ever be. Mm-hmm. So just try and remember that, you know, people are doing them because that is exactly how you would be if you were them, and vice versa. So
cool, beautiful.
Same with kids as well, you know, try to squash them and mold them because they're their own little person. We get to be their support person, and we get to be the one that you know, helps them to thrive and flourish, but they are their own person. So
beautiful. Very cool. All right, Jess, thanks very much for your time. I'll leave it there today. And yeah, go follow her, guys. If you've listened to this and you're still listening now, go follow her. Don't be stupid, because there's going to be some good content there. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it enormously.
No worries. Thanks, Joe.